People always look at the cost to doing something, and because they look at the cost, it prevents them from doing it, as opposed to looking at the value that they're going to get from doing that thing. I choose to have the life that I have now, also because of the cards that I was dealt. I'm going to do this, so I was comparing myself in that kind of way, as opposed to be like, oh, he's got this and I haven't got this. If I was comparing myself in that way, I'll probably never get started. That's what it really took me to really know that I can do this, and that's why I need to do it. If you tell me I would be where I am now, because of me have seen money and because I've made money, I always knew that I could do more. The problem is I just never knew how to keep money and how to grow the money, and I was just like, what do I do?
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Diaries of Success. I'm your host, Hajar Beyaz. And in the Diaries of Success, we make sure that we bring you the best of guests. So thank you for tuning in. And today my guest is someone who is very successful in property. He started from nothing. His journey is very incredible. And I'm so honored and very, very pleased to have him with me today. But before we jump into who my guest is and what he did and how he made it to becoming a successful entrepreneur, I want to thank you for tuning in and liking and being so engaging. I'm loving the love and the support you're showing me every single episode. If you have any questions, make sure you follow us on all our social media and leave all your comments and your burning questions in the comment section down below. Without any further ado, I'm pleased to be having with me Evans Willie. Evans, hi.
Thank you for having me, Hajar. I really appreciate it.
How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. How about yourself?
Enjoying the summer weather?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the weather. It makes me feel more at home. I'm used to this weather in the Caribbean, so I feel more at home now.
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned the Caribbean. That's where you are from, right?
Born and bred in St. Lucia in the Caribbean, yes.
We're going to talk about that a little bit further in this episode. But before we jump into that, who is Evans?
Yeah, that's a very good question, man. And Evans is the guy obviously sitting in front of you. But a little bit about myself. I'm born and bred in St. Lucia. I've been in this country for 10 years. I came in 2013. I came with big goals and big dreams, wanting to obviously become somebody. And, I went in the job route, worked multiple jobs, realized very quickly that there was only a limited amount of hours in the day, so there's only a limited amount of money I could make. So I started obviously doing entrepreneurial different businesses, and they all failed, like majority of businesses do. And in 2020, I came across property, and it's completely revolutionized, changed my life around. And yeah, now I'm like an inspirational individual, and I teach and train people how to do the same thing. But yeah, that's just Evans in a nutshell.
Beautiful. Family man?
Yes, I've got a son. He's 8 years old.
You're recently married. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
I watched the journey throughout the social media. The weather, the sun looked so beautiful. Congratulations again.
Yeah, it's very, very good, man. It's very, very good. It was the first time in the Caribbean as well, so she enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it. I knew she was the wife long before she actually said I do. So. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. I'm going to trigger that later on.
Okay.
Well, tell me a little bit about what you used to do before you jumped into property.
Yeah, I think that is a massive question. I think an easier question is, what did I not do? I mean, I did everything under the sun. Legal, I did it. Illegal, I used to have a look. But I mean, just name it. I mean, I started off when my first job in the UK was I was stacking shelves. I used to work in a used car parts company called Euro Car Parts. So I worked there for a little while. I moved into selling vehicle parts. So that's my first ever sales job in this country. And it was going very, very well. I was acing it. I was obviously, one of the top salespeople. And obviously one day I saw a guy came in his suit, driving a brand new car. And I was like, what is it that you do? And he told me that he sells cars for a living. And I was like, so if you sell a car, they give you a brand new car to drive? He's like, yeah. And I was like, bet. That's what I want to do. So I applied for new car sales jobs, and they all declined me because they haven't got experience. So I then went into used car sales, and that went very well. I was one of the top salespeople out of about 102. I did that for about a year and a bit. Then I obviously went back to, working in new car sales. So I did that for quite a while. Again, there was, the money was obviously limited as well. So I picked up side jobs while I used to work as a car salesperson. I worked as a security guard. I was a bouncer at night. I used to work 7 days a week. Try different businesses, clothing lines, and yeah, it was it's been very, 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 very crazy I would say 10 years of my life, should I say.
Beautiful. I got a lot from that, and you never gave up.
No, not at all. I mean, it's the story of my life. I mean, I'm born and bred in St. Lucia, and when people say they come from poverty, I mean, I am literally the epiphany of someone who came from poverty. So I think one of the reasons why I never give up is because my mom she always used to say something when people used to have nice cars and used to have nice things. She always used to tell me, "Don't envy anybody. The only difference with them is that they have a little, maybe a few years ahead of you, and maybe they've come across something that you haven't come across yet." So I think she saying that to me always gave me hope that I can actually change my circumstances, and I just refuse to give up until I get what I want, basically.
Beautiful. And why property?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, property kind of chose me. Because as I said before, when I first came to this country, I was just trying to become successful. I was just trying to really just, you know, have the things that I wanted. So property, when I first came to the country, I was living in just in Egham. I was living in Egham. I was living in a HMO actually, with a living landlord. Very nice guy, Polish guy. And me and him became friends, and that's how I knew he was the landlord. And what happened was, it was a massive house, and he was living in the house, and he told me how much he was renting the rooms at for, and I realized that he was actually living rent free. And I was just like, man, this house must be worth at least, £1 million, or very close to it. How is this guy living in a beautiful area like this rent free? So I was really baffled and really, drawn into property. But obviously, by speaking to people and I realized that it's not a good fit for me because there's nobody like me who doing properties. People who are successful, people who are a little bit older, maybe different color and skin, maybe a different accent. So I was like, it's not for me. So I tried doing all of the different things, everything under the sun. I swear to God, like was, that somebody said that you can do property in, whether it be network marketing, whether it be trading, whether it be buying and selling cars. I went through all of those routes, and none of those routes actually worked. And it was only because of 2020, I had a job at the time before lockdown. I was selling finance, and I lost my job, and I was just like, what do I do? And again, I started watching loads of obviously videos, started watching a bit of Netflix, and my partner, who's now my wife Ellen, she came across this series called Selling Sunsets. And we started binging selling. So I was like, you know what it is, man? I am gonna do property now. This is what I'm gonna do. This is the sign. I haven't got a job, and I'm now seeing, because this content is now marketing to me. I'm like, I'm gonna be a house, an estate agent, should I say? And I applied for loads of jobs as an estate agent. I got one interview, literally one interview, and I actually got the job. And I worked as an estate agent for like 3 months. And while I worked as an estate agent, it was a very small one, and I realized that a lot of people that came in were mostly Asians, because that was the owner's sort of like USP, working for sort of like the Asian community, and majority of them don't even speak English, and they have like a big bunch of kids with like 10 houses, and I'm thinking like, man, how is this guy has got 10 houses? He doesn't even speak English. He's been here for like 5 years, or he's been here less time than me. I'm like, okay, cool. That gave me hope, because all of a sudden I saw property from a different view to when I originally saw it. So that was really, really good. Then I saw another black African guy, very nice guy. He had about 10 properties from us, but he never owned them. He used to rent them. And he was making loads of money. I was thinking like, man, I'm doing the wrong thing. These guys are no better off than me. Why are they? And so anyway, long story short, 3 months working the job, it didn't really work out. I think I'm just cut to just do my own stuff. I was just born to be an entrepreneur. It didn't really work out, right? So I left the job, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing property. So I started going to loads of property events, and yeah, I got drawn into it. I now saw property with a new lens, and I think that's what kind of kickstart my property journey. I feel like working at that estate agent gave me a different angle I never saw before, and that's what gave me the belief that I can do it, and that's why I just knew that that's what I was meant to do.
Do you know what? I'm listening to you, and I am so amazed at how similar our journey are. I'm literally just like in shock. Well, you came in 2013.
Yeah.
I first time I stepped in this country was in 2014.
Okay.
I did all sorts of jobs as well. I was in sales. I did network marketing.
Yeah.
Tried ACN. I'm sure that was where
Yeah,
you were, right?
definitely did ACN. How can you not do ACN video marketing?
I was like, oh my god, I'm sure he's gonna say this is the company, and I'm
Yeah.
like, and I've done, I've done door to door, done sales, I've done every single thing
Yeah.
under the sun.
Wow.
And then I worked for an estate agency as well
Okay.
for 3 months. I came into property by accident.
Wow.
And, after going to the 3 days course, and then I didn't have the money to upgrade and just buy, the course
Yeah.
for 1 year. And then I said, you know what, I need to learn a bit more. Worked for an estate agency. And that kind of sped the process a little bit. And exactly what happened to you. I had that aha moment, and I'm like, this is how easy it is. Okay, that's all I need to do. So I sped the journey, and here I am today. So I'm like, oh my God, this is like a
That is-
male version of my
That
own
is crazy.
journey.
Very, very. That's crazy. That it's so similar. Wow. Very
I
good.
know, right? Now you're doing all these mentorships.
Yep.
You're having all these essays and rent
Yep.
rent, and you're buying now, of course.
Yeah.
How are you finding it? What are the challenges and your day-to-day things?
Yeah. I mean, being an entrepreneur, sometimes on social media it could be packaged differently to what it actually is. On social media, most people only just really post their highlights on how things are going well. But the people who are real entrepreneurs do understand that it's got a lot of ups and downs, man. It's not straightforward. I mean, overall, it's very good. It's very lucrative. Very fruitful. Has given me a phenomenal life. But it's a lot of challenges. It's a lot of recreating, overcoming stuff, becoming a better person. Especially obviously now, when I've got employees, sometimes I have to fire people, hire people. It's got its challenges, but overall, I am super amazed. Obviously, I made a decision to obviously get into property, because it's completely changed my life around, like inside out. So I'm very grateful.
What would you say? Because there's a lot of these fake gurus right now.
Yeah,
Oh, it's all good. Come in, buy my course. I'll show you how to do it. And in 1 week, you will get your first property, and in all
Yeah.
sunshines and rainbows.
yeah,
Well, let's be honest. It's not like that. I mean, it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's obviously work a little bit. You will get according to what you put in, right? But you have to have skin in the game.
absolutely, 100%. I think you've hit the nail in the head. I think you'd 100% need to have skin in the game, because having skin in the game is what's gonna cement your future, in the sense of like a lot of people, exactly what you just said, have got the intention that it's sort of like get rich quick, and it's sort of like microwavable pizza. Well, it's not. It's like it's boiling cow heel soup, and it's boiling oxtail. It takes hours to cook, right? That's what it's like. So yes, it's nothing like get rich quick. I mean, can you get deals, and can you get property within the first day? Yeah, I've had students obviously get properties within the first week. But is that the norm? Not really. I think you have to obviously learn the ins and outs. You have to be committed long term, which means that whatever hurdles that you're gonna come across, you will be willing to overcome it. And exactly what you said, when you have skin in the game, you are more likely to stick around until it works. But when you haven't got much skin in the game, it's like, oh man, I've tried it didn't really work. On to the next kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely not. It's everything but a very easy process. Is it rewarding? Is it worth it? 100%. But it's not gonna just come that easy.
How long did it take you for you to get your first property?
My first property took me about a month to get. It took me about a month to get. That was a very, I think that was a very what's the word I want to use? It was a very emotionally challenged month, because, being around in my job, working at Jaguar Land Rover at the time, I'm like the king of the group, the top of the group, and everyone kind of worships me. And then having to get into property and get into rent to rents, and people are telling me like, nope, I don't do business with you and stuff like that. I'm like, man, who's you talking to? But obviously,
The ego thing.
yeah, it was 100%. It was an ego thing at the beginning. But my ego obviously quickly got like, crushed very quickly.
Flat.
Because I'm like, listen, I don't care what you say. I'm gonna get a deal, and I'm gonna make this happen. So if you want to, be a hero and you want to give me a deal, and I'm gonna give you all the gratitude in the future, you do that. If you say no, no problem. I'm not gonna move on. So I think like because I kind of like exert that kind of energy, that I'm gonna do it regardless. I'm not asking for you to obviously give. Well, I am asking for you to give me a property deal, but if you don't, I just move on to the next. I think that's kind of like was my mindset. I'm just gonna make it. But it was a very tough month. Loads of rejections and no's and oh man, my very first deal, the landlord is from the UK, but he lives in Dubai, right? And I actually got the deal through open rent. And I remember Ellen was the one who actually found the deal. She was obviously the one who initially spoke to him via email, but I spoke to him over the phone. Man, this guy spent an hour and a half on the phone grilling me, asking me every single thing about myself, my family, what I do, everything. I was thinking like, man, I'm not really gonna get this deal. But I think because I was just resilient, because it's very, very tough. Questioning me, how am I gonna pay him the rent? What do I do? How much money I make? But because I was resilient and I was just like, yeah, listen, man, I know this is my first deal, but this is the reason why I'm giving you a very good deal. You need to give it to me because you're gonna get rewarded in the future. I'm gonna become successful. Give me a chance. And I think that kind of energy was what made him give it to me. I think in the end.
Is he an English guy?
He's an Asian born. No, I don't think he's Asian. But obviously he was born in the UK. So he's got an English accent, but he lives in Dubai.
Yeah. I've had a similar situation. I mean, not for my first deal. My first deal, I would say the man did trust me. I had hundreds of no's before I started working with him. And now I have about 26 from him alone. So I'm glad I didn't give up.
Yeah.
But I've had a situation where someone did grill me like hard. In fact, he gave me the keys. He said, okay, yes to everything, signed, left the house. I was taking an inventory before, just 5 minutes later, he came back and said, no, I changed my mind. I don't know about this and I'm not really sure. And so I had to, try to convince him again from scratch, literally do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So I feel you. Like when you were,
yeah,
and plus, at least I was face to face. You were on the phone. It's even worse. Like you can't see his body language. Can't really know what he's thinking about. If he was face to face, you kind of know where his body language is directing you.
Correct. If it was face to face, it'd be a lot better. Maybe I could obviously build a rapport, but it was over the phone, and obviously, and I'm not English. I haven't got an English accent, so all of a sudden, thinking like, "Oh, who's this fresh? Who's this fresh? Trying to rent my property out?" So. It was a very tough conversation. Obviously, me and him are good friends now. So, he's actually one of my investors. He's invested in my deal. So, it was worth the hour and a half of grilling.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, look, and that's how we learn.
Correct.
Obviously, the first property, first deal, it's the one deal that gives you hope, that shows you that this strategy works.
Correct.
And that brings you the first initial income. So.
Yeah, 100%. I think it was a massive belief boost because I feel like when you watch videos, when you go to seminars and when you see people, yeah, you believe, but your belief is probably only 60-70%. It's not until you get your first deal and you see the first set of money coming into your account that you feel like, oh, actually, this actually works, man. All I have to do now is just multiply this. Yeah, it was definitely a massive belief sort of like boost.
When you just mentioned about seeing people getting results and you looking at them on social media, on their stories, sharing their wins and showing that they're getting results. Were you trying to compare yourself in a way?
Yeah, I think it's completely normal, 100%. I think when you get started off, you compare yourself with people, and that's kind of like I think it's probably the number one recipe to being unhappy. So. But for me, I was comparing myself with people, but I didn't do it in an unhappy way. I used to do it like, wow, well done for you, man. If you can do this, bro, I'm going to do this. So I was comparing myself in that kind of way as opposed to be like, oh, he's got this and I haven't got this and I'm sad. I think if I was comparing myself in that way, I'll probably never get started. So Yeah, I think going to seminars, seeing people get success, that's very good. It gave me new sights, and it gave me obviously belief that what, if he can do it, if she can do it, if he can do it, if they can do it, they are human just like me. I can do it as well. I think that's all it takes. That's all it takes. That's all it really took me to really know that I can do this, and really make me feel like not to give up. Because you only need one person to do it. If they can do it, they're human just like yourself. Why not you? And that's why when people obviously, I see people start property and they quit, it baffles me. I just can't understand why would you quit? Like, you've seen not one but multiple people do it. Why would you not just stick with it until it works? Because it definitely works. If you're not getting the results, then the common denominator is yourself. All you have to do is just improve yourself. That's it.
Did you ever doubt yourself?
Of course, I doubt myself all the time. I doubt myself almost every single day. I think if you don't doubt yourself, I think you're not human. I do doubt myself 100% of the time, but obviously my doubts, they differ. As you grow. At the beginning, I was doubting if I can obviously get started in property, and I had the right to doubt myself. Why? Because no one in my family is successful in any way, shape, or form. There's not one family member of mine in the UK that I know who's got a business. No, I've got nobody who's got. The only property that they have is their residential house that they've been living in. So, of course, I had all the right to doubt myself, because there's no one that came from where I came from that I know who's doing what I'm doing. So it was always like, going into new waters.
So, do you know, like sometimes your environment dictates where you go,
Of course.
but it shows that not to go that path.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I was saying to somebody the other day, I've got three brothers, right? My eldest brother, he was the best academically. He had the best grades. He went to the best schools, and I love him. He lives in the UK. He lives in Northampton. But when my wife Ellen saw him, she's like, "Are you sure this is your brother?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "He's nothing like you. Like, he doesn't look like you. He's got no energy like you. He's got no drive like you. He obviously just wants to be on benefits. He just wants to make enough money just to cover his bears and his fags. And listen, man, I obviously that's what he wants to do. I appreciate him. I don't look at him any less than I am. But we came from the exact same house. We had the exact same upbringing. But he chose to obviously, choose the life that he has because of the cards that he was dealt. I choose to have the life that I have now, also because of the cards that I was dealt. But it was a different point of view. I'm thinking like, cool, that's why I got started, and that's why I need to do it.
Yeah.
And he probably was like, oh, this is why I got started. So of course I'm not going to make it. So I think it's all about watching. It's all about perspective. Looking at the cup half empty or looking at the cup half full. I choose to
Yeah.
look at it half full, and it's proven to be working for me. So I'll keep looking half full.
Absolutely. Well, look, you just reminded me of that story. I'm sure you know about the two brothers who one ended up being a doctor, the other one ended up being in jail.
I've never heard that story. That'd be a nice story. Go on, tell me about
So
it.
basically, there is these two brothers.
Yeah.
Well, technically, there's these two people. One who is in jail, the other one who is a very, very successful doctor. And they interviewed both. So they went to the person in jail and they said, "Why are you like this? Why are you a criminal?" He said, "Oh, if you have parents like mine, drug dealers, criminals, people who didn't give us affection, who didn't show us love, who didn't really show us what it means to have a family, you're definitely going to end up a criminal." So obviously I followed that route and I became a criminal. They interviewed the other person and they're like, "Oh, so what made you be a successful person?" And he's like, "Well, if you have parents like mine, drug dealers, criminals, people who don't show you love and affection, I had to choose not to be like them. So that's why I went and became a successful person."
Yeah.
And turns out that these people are brothers.
Wow.
So they both chose different paths,
Correct.
even though they had same upbringing, same kind of environment,
Yeah.
no support, nothing,
Yeah.
right? But one chose to
Yeah.
go that way and the other one chose
Yeah.
that way.
Very very similar to my story. Very similar. In fact, my upbringing was worse because my brother I'm talking about, he had a good dad who had, an agricultural business. My dad was an alcoholic. So and he used to obviously beat my mom when he was drunk and stuff like that. So
Sorry about that.
well, it's fine. I mean, it's obviously, toughened me up and taught me what not to do with women. So yeah, I think because of my dad and my upbringing, I actually chose because I love my parents. My dad passed away. My mom's still alive, but I didn't want to be like them because obviously where I grew up and how they brought us up. So yeah, I think probably that story is very similar to my story.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. I'm glad you're someone who a lot of people look up to.
Thank you.
Now, if you tell me a little bit about The Eviction,
Okay.
it's a show that I love that show.
Okay.
I
Great.
really do. I really do. And I think it should be on TV. Like, I don't think YouTube is doing it enough. So you won season 2.
Correct. Yes.
We saw lots of tears.
Yeah.
I cried, you know.
That's so nice.
I did. So I'm someone who's very. I can feel people, and when a story touches me, I can relate to it. So tell me a little bit about The Eviction.
Yeah, so for those obviously who haven't watched The Eviction is a property version of sort of like The Apprentice, where you're obviously given tasks to do, and if you do well in your task, you advance to the next round. If you don't do well, then you get evicted. So yeah, I mean, The Eviction was a very, very challenging. I think what, it's a very a really eye-opening month of my life, should I say. I mean, just getting on The Eviction was obviously tough. There's I think over 1,000 applicants, and they were only
Really?
choosing about 10 people. And
Wow.
I can still remember, obviously, I obviously applied for it, and obviously I got I got shortlisted to I think probably about 50 or 100 or whatever. I'm not sure the number, but they gave me a call. Let's have a conversation. Like, oh, you're gonna have an interview on that day. I did the interview. I think the interview went well, but I was like, when you have an interview, right? Afterwards, you always have like, man, I should have said this. I should have said that, right? So after
Yeah.
the interview, I was like, you know what? I should have said this, And I tried to obviously call a number again. I couldn't get through, right? Maybe it was just a one-way number. So I found the person who obviously did the interview, and her name is Amelia Rasanti. Very, she's a very good friend of mine now. And I sent her a DM, and I was like, listen, you don't understand how I need this, how much I need this. The only way, so it's a true story. I tell her the only way I'm not going to win the eviction is if you rob me of a chance to be on there. That's why I text her. I'm not saying that's what got me on the eviction, but it got me on the eviction, and yeah, it was a vigorous month. Doing all these crazy challenges, running up and down the country, finding lease option deals, finding rent to rent deals, finding BRL deals. I
Yeah.
think the most challenging one was one of the final ones where we had to sort of like do a refurbishment, and we had to refurbish a massive 3-bedroom house with two dining rooms. Man,
And
that
you're
was
given a
crazy.
budget of like
We're given a
£2,000 or
budget
something.
of £2,000, and we had a week to 5 days effectively to refurb the house and get tenants in. Now that was not too bad on the outside, but when we actually was in the house, I realized the house hasn't got heating, the boiler isn't working, the cooker was broken to the £2,000. I had to get a new cooker, had to fix the boiler. It was a very challenging. But I think it was very eye opening. It was a great place to start. I know after that week that I can refurbish a house for very, very cheaply. There's no one can tell me you can't because I just did it. Obviously, it requires insane amount of, labor. Because I realize when it comes to refurbishment, one of the biggest costs is labor. So it's a very challenging week. But I learned a lot. I think the highlight of the eviction for me was that you could actually achieve anything you want in your life within a short period of time, providing that you just concentrate 100% on it. Don't look left, don't look right, don't check your phone, don't check Instagram. You can actually do it. And yeah, I think I took that with me in life and in property.
Do you know what? That was the message that I also got from there, from all seasons actually. And every December, do you know, sometimes you're into a momentum,
Yeah,
and then you lose that momentum,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden the eviction comes, and I'm like watching, I'm like, fuck's sake, how easy it is. If you really want to get a deal, you will.
yeah,
If you want to rent to watch a rent, like to have a rent to rent deal, all you have to do is just pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Just be persistent. Don't give up. As you said, don't look right or left. Just straight do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And it's an eye-opening to me because all the excuses we all give ourselves.
Yeah.
There's no way. If you want to raise money, you can do it.
Correct.
If you want to get a deal, you can do it. If
Correct.
you have a deal and you don't have them, oh my God. Like when I watched it, it just helped me a lot. And I'm sure it did because you're into that environment.
Yeah.
So, did you get any kind of fame, or do people now follow you because you were on there, or what was the benefits of it?
I wouldn't say it got that much fame. I mean, yeah, obviously, it's got a few thousand views, so there's a few thousand more people who know who I am. But I wouldn't say it made me famous, because a lot of people, believe it or not, still haven't watched the eviction yet. But yeah, it definitely helped. It definitely obviously put me more on the market, so people know who I am. It definitely helped, 100%.
I'm happy. I'm glad you're saying that. Well, look, let's lift the bar a little bit.
Okay.
We've got a ritual. We play a game on our podcast.
I like games.
Sure you do. And it's called Would You Rather. Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you 5 round questions.
Yeah.
And you have to answer in 2 seconds.
Okay.
You answer in 3, you'd have to sing a song.
Okay.
You can choose not to sing. You can choose not to answer.
Right.
You would have to sing.
All right.
Okay. So I love to make people sing because I'm probably going to have like the worst voice on the Diaries of Success.
Right. Well, hopefully I haven't got to sing.
Cool. So it's going to be a quick one, yeah? You ready?
I'm ready.
Beautiful. But before we do that, again, I want to remind you that for us to bring the best guests, you have to give us the best of yourselves. Show us the love, show us the support, give us those likes. I'm going to share later on how to get in touch with Evans and how to pick his brain, how to learn from him a little bit more. So stay tuned. And after Would You Rather, we're going to touch a little bit more. We're going to poke him a little bit. We like to do that on our show. So it was all love at the first half, but we're gonna show our graves a little bit just in a second. Well, without any further ado, Would You Rather? So Evans, St. Lucia or UK?
St. Lucia.
YouTube or mentoring?
Mentoring.
Cricket or football?
Cricket.
Property or security?
Property.
£1 million or 1 million followers?
£1 million.
So, money or love?
Love.
Your wife or your child?
My child.
Okay, that was more than 2 seconds, by the way.
How was it? Who's timing?
Oh, I can't wait for this episode to be out, and you just got married.
Yeah. She'll understand, though. She'll understand. She's a good missus.
Fair enough. Rob Moore or Samuel Leeds?
Samuel Leeds.
Jordan Belfort or Grant Cardone?
Grant Cardone.
£10 million or going back to knowing everything you know right now when you were 18 years old?
Going back to doing everything I know now when I was 10 years old.
Paying taxes or not paying taxes?
Not paying taxes.
Ooh. Do it yourself, done for you.
Done for me.
Done for you. Okay. That was a quick one. You didn't sing.
I told you I'm very good at thinking on my feet.
Do you know what? I actually expected you not to answer when I asked your child or your missus.
No, I'll answer. Why not?
So I wanted to hear you sing. So would you please do something for us?
I mean, I'm not really sure if I'm very good at singing. But I don't know. Give me a song to sing.
Anything. What were you listening to when you were on the way here?
What was I listening to? I was actually on the phone, so I wasn't listening to anything.
Try to escape my question. Well, let's get back. You said, when I said St. Lucia or the UK,
Yeah.
so tell me a little bit about that.
I said St. Lucia, didn't I? Yeah, I think St. Lucia is I mean, I love the UK. I mean, I would obviously always stay in St. Lucia if St. Lucia had the opportunities that the UK has. Because, the quality of living is obviously better. Everyone is happy. Believe it or not, a lot of people think like the Caribbean, the third world countries are very miserable poverty area. But no, I'm telling you, these people are happy. They may not have loads of money in the bank. They may not have a new Rolex or a new car or whatever, or even have a bank account, but they are happy as hell. So I like it. It's a very warm culture. You walk in the streets, people will say hi, hello to you. If that happens, hey, they're gonna think like, who's this madman? So
Yeah.
yeah, the food is fresh. Everything is organic.
No
Yeah, it's
stress.
paradise. Good weather. 100% St. Lucia.
Makes sense. I mean, if you asked me whether I would prefer the UK to Algeria,
Yeah.
I would definitely say Algeria
There you go.
if it had the same abilities that we have here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Correct.
if I had my family here, I would probably just say
I understand.
the UK. But then, as you said, people like, even with not a lot, but they're still happy. Like, people still ask about you. People, if they don't see you for 2 days, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like, I think
That's really good.
Back
Yeah,
home is,
definitely. 100%. Most immigrants who are here, if you ask them, they'll always say go back. They always rather back home. But obviously we're here for a reason. So, yeah.
you said Grant Cardone
Hmm.
over Jordan Belfort.
Yeah, Grant Cardone, man, he's unique. I love Grant Cardone, and I've got loads of similarities. Yeah, I mean his energy phenomenal. I love his energy. I think that's kind of like on the same part as mine. We have a very similar background. He used to do car sales before. Now he's obviously now doing property, and trading as well. So we have a very similar background. And he's a very good salesperson and a
Yes.
sales trainer, which is obviously something I'm now passionate about as well. So yeah, I've got lots of similarities with him.
Amazing. So no paying taxes.
I mean, that would be
HMRC,
ideal.
hello.
That would be ideal. Not saying I don't. I do pay my taxes. But if I had a choice not to pay them, who would not? Come on.
I know, right? Like, a lot of people now are shifting to Dubai just because
Exactly.
no taxes.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
that may be my next movement. But I don't really know. I've had loads of good and bad. So maybe I need to go there on holiday first and see what it's like before.
yeah, totally agree. I totally agree. You said Samuel Leeds
Yeah.
over Rob Moore.
Yep. Yeah, I mean Samuel Age is the goat, man. Samuel Age is obviously, we're very good friends. He's a unique individual. Some people like him, some people don't like him. I
Yeah.
love him. I
I
love
mean,
him.
you either do or don't.
If you do or you don't, he just tells you as it is, which is exactly the reason why I like Samuel is because I'm very similar to Samuel. And yeah, I just think he's just a very cool guy. Yeah.
Cool. I actually thought Rob was going to win the match, the boxing match they had.
Yeah, I mean to be fair, I don't know Rob. I've never met him. I don't follow his content. But I can see by his pictures and videos that he was in shape at the time that Samuel took up the fight. But because I know Samuel personally, I know the kind of person that he is. He's a very hungry person, and when he set his mind to do something, nothing's gonna stop him. And when I heard that Samuel and Rob was fighting, my next question was like, when was the fight? Because if the fight was like in 1 or 2 weeks, then Samuel would have lost because obviously his fitness, right?
Yeah.
But then when I saw that the fight was in 3 months, I knew Samuel would have won. I knew that, because I just know the kind of person that he is. He's got that dog in him. Like, he just wants something, nothing can stop him. Like,
Yeah. We had Rob here,
Okay.
and we were talking about this,
Okay.
and it kind of, I don't know, it felt like Rob was in his comfort zone, whereas Samuel had to get out of his comfort zone.
Yes, I agree with that
So-
100%.
So that's the reasoning I had.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's just a game. At the end of the day, they're both great people. I follow both of their content, and I wish them all the best.
Amazing.
You said Done For You, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, that's because the reason why I say done for me because it's the truth, and maybe I shouldn't, but I think I work less now, and make more money now than I used to work before. You know, I used to work crazy hours because that's the mentality my parents instilled in me and my family instilled in me. Like, you have to do everything yourself, da 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 da, don't pay anybody. I mean, when you pay them, you know, you're losing money. But
Why?
that's not how it is because I realized people who are successful is the complete opposite. You know, they're not self made, they get almost everything done for them.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
I was just like, this is crazy. This is what I should be doing. And they put their soul energy into their craft and what they're very good at.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm not gonna lie, I'm not 100% there yet, but I have transitioned, you know, to
Yeah.
obviously to get in there.
You had to start it from somewhere.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, now I've got I've got 7 members of staff. I mean, if I did not see that side of it, I'll probably be doing all of the things myself. And when you know ask me to come, I'll be like, no, I can't come because I have to be doing this, I have to be doing that. Because a lot of people are you know, I always pick them, they're always busy, right?
Yeah.
And it's like they almost brag about being busy, like being busy is a cool thing. And it's like cool, it's okay to you know, being busy, but are you busy getting ahead in life or are you
Yeah.
busy just being busy, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not always busy. I control my diary, I control what I do. So if I don't want to do something, I might say I'm busy. But yeah. Edit that part to yourselves.
But I totally agree with you, you know,
Yeah.
like, because I'm the same. But I'm lazy. Well, not lazy, but sometimes I just want to enjoy myself. You know, when you get to a certain age, you don't want to be living miserable.
Yes.
I mean, I've done everything in my 20s. I've done ACN for fuck's sake.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
That was very tough, wasn't it? You know what? I'm actually very grateful I did this. Yeah,
Same.
I'm very grateful I did it. I'm
Same.
not grateful, you know, because it was very fruitful financially, but it was just
The
you know, the
mindset.
mindsets. I
Yeah.
think the training, you know, Ahmed Mukhtar, you know, he's speaking. You know, Greg Provenzano. I mean, yeah, it was yeah. ACN's training is up there.
That's true. Look,
Yeah.
the mindset, no lie. I mean, I know that so many people who made it in ACN. In fact, Ahmed Mukhtar, and he's a good friend of mine.
Okay.
And he went on and opened his own thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
His own network
Yeah, yeah.
marketing thing.
I still speak to Ahmed. Ahmed is a very good friend of mine, same as you. Yeah, I'm very close to Ahmed.
So I'm glad they're doing what they're doing, but it was just not for me. However, it got me a good training, the level mindset, the ability to be resilient to no's.
Yes.
You know, like
Oh man, that is the key. That is the key. I think ACM was always like it was such a low blow in the sense of like even your close friends and family
yeah.
thinks that you were a con artist. You know, you can't get any lower than that. You know, so it's like when you get to that level, it's like what else can you throw at me? Like it makes you like superhuman. So
Literally.
I'm grateful I did it.
Literally. And I did it at a time where I was new in the UK. I didn't know a lot of people. So I didn't really have a lot of people to lose, to be honest.
Okay.
You know when people start avoiding you just because you're trying
Yeah.
to sell them something?
Yeah.
So I didn't have a lot of people to lose, I'm glad. But yeah, I mean, once you do everything and then you realize like you have to start outsourcing some tasks. Even washing your car, you just don't wash your car yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if you do, just to save £10, why?
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure your hourly rate is more than just £10 an hour.
100%. And that's how I look at things now, and that's why I don't do the things I used to do. Like for example, you know, there's some of my refurbs that I used to even do myself because obviously I'm born in St. Lucia, so just name a job, I've done it. I've done construction, I know how it works, I know how to do loads of stuff, right? So even some of and I was thinking like, why am I doing that, man? I don't love to do it. It makes me tired, and it doesn't actually save me money. I'm actually losing money because I'm spending. I can just pay someone £150 or £200 a day to do that, and I can obviously be doing. I could package a deal and sell a deal to an investor and make £3,000. So like it doesn't make sense. Whereas before I used to feel like I need to be doing this because I don't want to pay somebody. And I think you see that mindset shift. I think that's one of the biggest mindset shifts that people need to do to become successful. I think people obviously always look at the cost to doing something, and because they look at the cost, it prevents them from doing it,
Yeah.
as opposed to looking at the value that they're gonna get from doing that thing.
Well, don't get me wrong. I used to do things myself.
Yeah.
I used to go to IKEA, assemble things, bring them, put them in, you know. But that was at the beginning because I couldn't afford to get someone.
Yeah.
And well, it also gave me some sort of a learning curve.
Yeah.
Because now, for me, I know exactly how long it's going to take me to assemble an IKEA wardrobe.
Oh man.
I know, you know what I mean? It gave me some sort of knowledge.
Yeah.
I didn't have the money at the beginning to get a painter. I used to paint rooms myself.
Yeah.
But I know now exactly what a room needs for it to be painted. I know how many what prime coat is. I know how much the material will cost. I know exactly how long it will take you. I know what colors we need. So it gave me an idea when someone gives me an invoice. No, I'm not paying you that because I know exactly
No,
how much it is.
I'm the same. I'm the same. I did all the stuff. I mean, my first, I would say 3 or 4 HMOs. I painted it all myself. I got my unique blue feature wall. I painted it all myself. And to be fair, I enjoyed it at the beginning
Yeah.
because I'm like, now I'm building my future.
Yeah. But
and
it gets to a point where you...
yeah, it gets to a point where you're like, okay, cool. Rather than be doing this, I could be finding a new deal. So yeah, I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they haven't got to be things you have to do yourself. I think when you're starting off, sometimes you have to do it yourself for 2 reasons. Number one, because you might enjoy it. Number two, because you need to know what it's like, how much it costs, how much time it takes. Because if you don't know that, somebody can easily pull the wool over your eye. So yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. I'm glad we touched base on this because so many people, they don't understand the power of outsourcing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, oh my God. I've seen, the reason why I'm saying this is it pisses me off so much. And I've seen all these people jumping into property at the age of 17, 18, 19, get 1-2 deals, call themselves gurus, and they start mentoring people. And then when you ask them about a few things, they have no idea what it is.
Yeah.
So having to go through all this, if you ask me about anything from the past 4 years, I will have an answer.
Yeah.
Anything you want in property, I will have an answer for you.
Yeah.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Whereas you ask these people, 21 years old, 22 years old,
Yeah.
and you want to teach me. I don't know if you agree with me, but I just don't. I just don't believe you can.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm very similar to you. I think because I've done almost every single part of it myself. You know, I've done rent to rents, and I still have got rent to rent. Then BRR, I've got lease options. You know, developments, because I've done all of those things. If you ask me about it, because I've done it, I can easily tell you, a lot about it. And obviously, some people are not like that. But I mean, listen, man. Obviously, like, if somebody wants to obviously, get started off and just want to train people, there's nothing wrong. I don't see anything wrong with it. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. I think each man to their own. I think at the end of the day, it's just the person. If somebody obviously wants to, get trained by somebody, I think it's down to you. You have to obviously choose the person that you believe you can.
Would you buy from a 21-year-old?
It does depend though. If I believe the 21-year-old will really help me to get to where I want to go, if I think he's got a track record, if I think he knows what he's talking about.
2 properties.
Well, it depends though. Honestly, it does depend. I tell you, because let's say if the 21-year-old has got 2 properties, right? But he's obviously charging me next to nothing, and I haven't got a lot of money. Nah, I don't think I would, to be fair. I think I'm talking myself out of it now. I'm thinking about it. I'll tell you what. If I'm obviously going to pay somebody money, I obviously want it, and I do that all the time. It has to be somebody who I believe in. I believe who's going to get me the results. Yeah, and I'm very good at reading people. So yeah, that's my answer.
To me, it has to be someone who has a track record.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you have to have skin in the game, man. Like,
Yeah.
I need to see that you have put the sweat, the tears, the effort, everything.
I agree with that.
For me to believe in you.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, I can't just call myself a mentor just by having 2 properties. You have seen nothing, man.
Yeah.
You have not seen the drug dealers. You have not seen people who have the parties in your house. You have not seen... No, it's not a straight path. Like, it's not... Everything can happen. In the property world, everything can happen.
True.
And every property will teach you more.
True.
People who want their deposit back, people who, it's so many things.
Yeah.
Just by having 2 properties.
Yeah. There's so many highs and lows. And the reason why I tell you it depends is because I have met people who are super successful in property. They have so many houses, like so rich, right? But they can't duplicate themselves. They can't teach somebody what they've done. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
That's the reason why I say it depends, because it doesn't mean that because they automatically have got loads of properties that they automatically qualified to be a credible trainer.
Mentor,
Because
no.
I think actually training and teaching people is actually a skill. It actually is a skill, because there are loads of people I know who's successful in property, but they can't teach anybody how to do it because they haven't got the skill. Because it's a skill to make something difficult or something complicated sound simple. It's a very unique skill to do that. So that's the reason why I say it depends. So if they obviously have walked the walk and they've got the skill, yeah, I may be open, but I wouldn't limit them to them being 21, because obviously the numbers are stacked up against you if you're 21, because probably you haven't got a track record, right? But it could be a 21-year-old who's done it properly and he wants to do it. So yeah, man, I don't judge them on whatever the age or whatever the
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Makes sense. Well, we can agree to disagree, isn't it?
yeah. I'm not saying I disagree with you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it sometimes depends.
Yeah. Fair enough. I agree to a certain extent as well.
Yeah.
You said mentoring over YouTube.
Yeah.
Why?
Because that's what I'm meant to do. I think when I mentor people, when I train, when I speak, I feel unique. I don't get that feeling doing anything else. When I'm public speaking, when I'm training people, I feel there's a feeling. It's hard to explain because it's a feeling. You can't see my feeling. YouTube is obviously good. It's great. I love to do YouTube. I love to obviously speak to people and stuff like that. But I'm not seeing the direct results. Whereas when I'm training somebody, like obviously some of my students, and I know where they got started, and I'm seeing what they've obviously done now, it's like, wow, man, I have genuinely changed this person's life. And the gratification that comes from that is unique. Whereas sometimes on YouTube, you don't get the gratification because you don't actually see them, grow and stuff like that.
Fair enough. You said £1 million over 1 million followers.
Yeah, of course, because you can with £1 million you can pay £1,000 and you can buy 1 million followers. No, I think now with £1 million, I've got the credibility and I've got the experience and I've got the knowledge to know how to multiply £1 million. If it was back then, I don't know, I must still say £1 million, but I probably would have obviously just trashed it and just spent all of it within like a year or something.
Yeah, just like people who win the lottery.
Yeah.
It's proven that 80% or maybe 90% of people who win the lottery,
Yeah.
they come back to being broke within a year or two.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because they don't know what to do with the money.
They don't know what to do with the money. 100%. Because a lot of people obviously, I was telling somebody the other day, like, they're like, oh, Evans, I've seen your story, I know you got started, nothing. And I was like, yeah, you see my obviously story that was portrayed, but I have made a lot of money before that. Like, I bought a house before that. I was driving a Range Rover before that. I had a Rolex before that. Like, I've made loads of money. When I was in St. Lucia, in a third world country, I was 16, 17, and I bought 2 cars. In my community, nobody had 2 cars. So I know what it's like to make money. I have made money in my life. The problem is I just never knew how to keep money and how to grow the money. And I think that's what property has allowed me to do. To not only make more money, but to keep it and to grow it. And I think having an environment of people who does that is like a complete paradigm shift. And I think that's where, that's where the wealth is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Knowing how to keep it, multiply it, and manage it is
Yes.
very, very important.
Yeah.
Very, very important. You said your son over your missus.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
Let me get you in trouble.
You're not gonna get me in trouble. I mean, obviously, to be fair, I have spoken to her about that. I have spoken to her about that, and I think she loves me more because of that. Because she obviously I love how you love your kids. So I know when we have one, you're gonna love them the same. Because I mean, listen, man. If we look at the facts, right, 1 in 2 marriages fail. It's fact. Like 50% of marriages do fail. So. But there's no fact that says 1 in 2 of your kids fail. They're always going to be your kids regardless at the end of the day. So that's what it is. No, I obviously love my wife. She's everything to me. But obviously my son's my son. He's like a spitting version of myself. So
Makes sense. Makes sense. Don't call me later. Don't call me later and say, Hadra, you got me into trouble.
nah, it's all good, man.
You said when I ask you £10 million, or go back to knowing everything you know right now, when you
Yeah.
were 18 years old,
Yeah.
tell me.
Yeah, of course. Because see, the thing about it, exactly what I was saying earlier, man. I have made loads of money in my life. So making money has never been if I'm being honest, has never been an issue with my never been an issue with me. I've always knew how to make money because I've always been a hustler. I've always been somebody who's a go-getter, right? I just never knew, how to grow the money. Exactly what I've just said. But if I know what I knew now when I was 10 years old, I mean, I'm 32 years old. That's 22 years of me doing what I'm doing now. That's like, of course, man, the knowledge and the connections that I have now and the experience and the network, you can't put a price on that.
12 years.
You can't put a price on that. So 100% I would choose that because, money, people obviously value money, and it's very obviously, let me obviously be very careful with what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say, people put so much value on something that they just print, um, as opposed to putting value on themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas you are the person who collects money, right? Nobody makes money, we collect money. So I would back myself and I would bet on myself every day of the week than betting on money because I am the one who can obviously make money. I'm the one who's gonna collect the money. So why would I not bet on myself?
Yeah, you're right.
I know people who has £1 million in their account, and it's been there for a long time. I know a guy. I play cricket with him every Saturday. He has about £100,000 and 150 in his account for the last 5 years. It's the same amount of money. The interest that he's getting is peanuts. And I keep talking to him about, give me the money, let me invest the money. I'll give you 10% on it in about a few months, and he's still no. And I'm like, man, it's like, come on, man. It's like, so he values the money more than, values himself and stuff like that. So 100%, I'll always bet on myself every day of the week instead of betting on money.
I agree. Thank you so much.
No problem at all.
Well, look, we saw you cry.
Okay.
What triggered that?
Which time? Because I think I've cried a few times on camera. So you have to be a little bit more specific.
Why does it touch you when you think about your past?
No, I think I'm a very emotional. Not emotional. I am emotional sometimes, but I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm very passionate, and yeah, my past has been a journey, man. It's been a crazy journey. Where I came from to where I am now, I couldn't even dream about it. So if you tell me I would be where I am now, 5, 10 years ago, I would tell you to pretty much do one because I couldn't fathom it because it's so far from where I got started. I've had a really tough life. I was telling someone the other day, I was 16 years old and I still didn't have a television in my house in St. Lucia. I didn't even have a toilet in my house, in St. Lucia. And obviously now, I live in a fancy penthouse in Canary Wharf, overview in London, and I've got my own business and I've got my own team and I own multiple properties and I mentor people, and it's crazy based on obviously where I got started to where I am now. So yeah, when I do speak about it,
Okay, don't skim through it.
yeah.
Because you're trying to, you're giving me.
You trying to get me to cry, don't you?
No. I don't want to cry in return.
Okay.
So,
That's good.
so it's just that sometimes we neglect the pain, and it is painful.
Yeah.
And it's normal to go through that. The thing is that there's so many people going through that right now who are listening to us. And it's just that they just don't know how to turn this pain into gain.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm asking you, like, I don't want you to just give me, heads up. No.
Yeah.
I want you to give me the core of how you actually was. Because I remember you said that you were sharing a single bed with your girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
That in itself is like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah, man. I mean, and that happened. That happened at the right time. That particular thing that you just mentioned of me sharing a single bed with my girlfriend, because before that, I was. If you look up from the outside, you would say I was successful. I used to obviously be. I used to work at Jaguar Land Rover. I was the top car salesman there. I was driving a brand new Range Rover every 3 months. I was making about 5-6 grand a month. I bought my house. So in my circle, I was obviously deemed successful, and I actually left that job to do ACN, believe it or not, to do network marketing, and that quickly crashed. But it was very good because I lost all of the friends I had. But most importantly, I lost my ego. I lost my pride. I got completely humbled. And that is so important to getting me here. Because if I wasn't humbled and if I didn't lose all the things that I had, I lost my house, I had to sell my house, I lost my job, lost my friends. If
How
I
was
did,
it?
it was very tough. It was a very I don't know, man. It's like when you see, a snake. Should I say a snake? Lose its skin or whatever. To evolve to the next level. Or when you see a caterpillar, obviously, turn into a butterfly. It's very very painful, but very eye opening. I remember when I used to work at Jaguar Land Rover. I used to go out every single weekend with obviously certain individuals, and I thought they might ride or die for life. And as soon as the money left, as soon as the car, I have no longer got the car. All of a sudden, they don't answer my calls anymore. All of a sudden, when I'm starting my business and I asked them to support me and become my customer, they all said no, and it's very painful. I think that's one of the hardest things I've had to do to become successful in business is to discern myself from my so-called friends at the time. And even like right now, I was telling somebody on the way here that I don't have friends. I don't have friends. My friends are like my business partners or my mastermind students and my property people, because we have a common future. Whereas before, my friends were people I had a common past with. We came from the same environment. We come from the same country. So it has been very, very tough, but I'm super grateful. And if I had a chance to do it again, I would do it again. Because at my lowest points, I actually found the people that I'm meant to find. At my lowest point is when I met Ellen, who's now my wife. She was there. She was there with me. She supported me. When I left my house and I was like, cool, I haven't got nowhere to stay. She's like, come and live with me. And I'm like, cool, don't worry. I won't overstay my welcome. I'll only stay maximum 2 nights. 2 nights into 2 weeks. 2 weeks into 2 years of me living there. And yeah, obviously because of me have seen money and because I've made money, I always knew that I could do more than what I was doing at the time. Does that make sense? So I was always hungry to do more. And that's what kept me going. And that's what kept me, pushing. If you keep kicking down the door, eventually you will be able to break down the door and see the other side, which is obviously where I am right now.
What's your definition of success?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I think the short version of that is probably being able to jump from pillar to post without losing any sort of enthusiasm or without losing energy and belief, should I say? Because I mean, what I'm trying to say is I see a lot of people obviously get started in business and it doesn't work and they get deflated and they just say, you know what, forget this entrepreneur, forget this business thing, and they're back to a job. I think being successful is having the ability to be doing something, it fails, and you still have got the same energy, the same excitement, the same passion, the same belief, and do it again or do something else again until it works. I think that is what success is, being able to be resilient and being able to know exactly where you're going, and even if you're not there yet, you know it's gonna come. It's just a matter of time. And I think that is what I think someone who's successful is.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this episode. Before we wrap up, any last thing you want to say to our audience?
I mean, first things first, or last things last. I want to obviously thank you for obviously having me on here. You didn't have to have me on here, so I feel privileged to you allow me to obviously speak to your audience. And I think what I would say to everybody, obviously right now I'm on a mission, and my goal is just to obviously just show people that you can actually achieve more. And if there's anybody watching this right now and you believe you have a little bit more to give, my advice to you, not to give up. My advice to you is do whatever it takes to win. Because when you win, no one's gonna ask you how you won. No one's gonna ask you how much it cost you to win. No one's gonna ask you, how much sacrifice you obviously went through to win. So do whatever it takes to win, man. I think, God made us all for a reason. And I think it's important for us all to find the reason before we kick the bucket, before we live this thing called life. So do whatever it takes to win, and I believe in you.
And how do we get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm in my social media handle. I'm on Instagram. It's Evans J Willie. It's the same on YouTube. It should be the same on TikTok and all the other, social media.
Beautiful. So Evans offers mentorships. He's also very active on social media. Follow his content. He's got great content and a great way to deliver things, deliver your message. So I would definitely suggest you guys to click on the description box down below. All his social media. You're on the TikTok, right?
I'm on TikTok.
You do dances?
I don't do dances.
Not yet.
Maybe in the future.
Not yet. So everything is literally in the description box down below. Thank you for tuning in to the Diaries of Success. I was your host, Hajar Beyaz. Until the next episode, do not forget to live your best life. See you next episode.